It's my review of last night's Night Callers Bigfoot Talk radio show. It was actually a pretty great show. The guest was Lee Culver, who does research in Alabama and Georgia. He talked quite a bit about his encounter, or encounters, I should say. That he also tends to, he does a lot of tracking and things like that. He's helped Craig Jackson. Craig was a guest several weeks ago on Night Callers, and they actually do tracking and things like that, and they're actually part of the Enigma Research Group, which researches in Alabama and Georgia. Um, I mean, he was a great guest. The Footers segment was about what was Footers about? Something to do with Sasquatch. I know that. I'm trying to remember exactly what it had to do with. It was a story about. Jeez, I get those brain farts. I get that sometimes and I forget. Oh Lord. Um, I'll probably think of it later. The tip from the field, however, was about it was a tip where it was suggested that researchers could take a football and play with it and throw it around and attach a glow stick to it, and that would cause curiosity in the Sasquatch, which I thought was very interesting, and I think it would help. I think it would work to perhaps lure a Sasquatch into some wondering what the heck are these people doing, you know. Um, and then during the second hour, there were a couple of callers, but they were only calling in to listen to the show. One of them did have a question. I'm trying to remember what that question was. I called in. I asked Lee. The first question I asked was about did he think that a grid search would be a good thing, such as what they did recently with evidence in North Carolina. The BFRO did that with did an evidence grid search where they had about 300 people out there in the forests. Um, he said that he didn't really think that that would be a good idea to try and find the Sasquatch, because Lee mentioned about the fact that the Sasquatch almost has almost like a commando type attitude. And then the second question I was asking, which did not have anything to do with anybody's research area, by the way. I just thought I'd point that out. I asked about sightings in Cherokee County, Georgia. And the reason I asked about that was because I used to live in Cherokee County, Georgia, and that's where I had my first encounters and I had my first sighting of a Sasquatch. That is the reason why I asked about that, Alex. You know who I'm talking about. You send me this email where you give me a stern warning saying I better quit dropping hints about your research area. I didn't even realize it was your research area. I don't care where your research area is. That's not why I asked the question. The reason I asked the question was because I used to live in that area. I used to live in Cherokee County, and I was asking if he had investigated any sightings in that area. So I hope that clears it up, Alex. And don't send me any more threatening messages with stern warnings or things like that. Sorry, I had to go on my soapbox there for a second. But anyway, it was a terrific show, and I really enjoyed it. next Sunday night will be the second meeting of the minds. There's going to be several researchers on the line. I imagine I'll be one of them. I'm volunteering my services right now. I will be part of the discussion, the meeting of the minds, because I enjoyed it so much last time. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoy doing things like that, getting together with people and having discussions about things. So yeah, count me in, Luke and Laurie and Lauren and JB and Froggy, for next Sunday, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, www.blogtalkradio.com/nightcallers. And as always, we do encourage you to please tune in and support great research. Now, there's an upcoming crypto program coming up this Friday on National Geographic Channel. It'll begin at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on the National Geographic Channel. It's called Beast Hunter. And they're going to be looking at the Orang Pendek and also the Mapingwe. And that it's going to be there's going to be a back-to-back debut, as it were. The first hour will focus on the Orang Pendek, and the second hour will focus on the Mapingwe, which is allegedly a Sasquatch-type creature in South America. But I remember back in the 90s, this researcher, I can't remember what his name was. He was on it's on Sightings, the show Sightings, and he was talking about David Oren. That was his name, David Oren. He was talking about how the Mapingwe may be nothing more than a ground sloth, a giant ground sloth, which just didn't go extinct, but stayed in existence. I'm not too sure about that. I don't think I don't think that's I just don't think that's possible. Um, because South America has such a rich history of hairy hominid sightings, like the Sisamite, the Dwindle, and the Duende, I mean, which is a little short thing. The Sisamite is the size, the large Sasquatch type creatures. And I think the Mapingwe may indeed be another hairy hominid, much like Sasquatch. So that'll be 2 hours. Should be quite interesting. And they'll begin this Friday night on National Geographic Channel at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. And one more thing, Alex, bite me.